Senator Cornyn, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe when Senator Cruz asked unanimous consent that a document be made part of the record, there was an opportunity for you to.
Without objection.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure that was.
Senator Booker, we'll close the debate on this now. Oh, I'm sorry, did you want to speak?
I'll be brief.
Sure.
I think it's clear that the objection to Mr. Manji is not because of who he is, but what he's done. And his refusal to acknowledge the facts of his record. That's not the sort of candor that you would expect or that we deserve when it comes to exercising our advice and consent responsibilities under the Constitution. And I am really struck by the fact that here we are about 100 days after the worst terrorist attack against Israel in its history. I was just in Israel last week with members of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Senator Ossoff was there, among others. And I mean, this is like our 9/11. They're still traumatized, as you might imagine, by what happened to innocent men, women, and children, including the one-year-old hostage that I mentioned a moment ago that was featured in today's Wall Street Journal. So I think it's profoundly unfair to suggest that opposition to Mr. Mangi is because he's a Muslim. As Senator Cruz pointed out, we voted overwhelmingly to approve a judge who is a Muslim by an overwhelming vote as to the District Court in New Jersey. I just don't think you can square the argument that the objection to Mr. Manji is because he's a Muslim, when in fact we overwhelmingly have confirmed a Muslim judge to the District Court in New Jersey. And I think it really, frankly, represents a new low for the committee to accuse a member of the committee for being somehow prejudiced against somebody because of their religion, when in fact it's clear that the objection is not to Mr. Manji for who he is or his religious beliefs, but rather what he has done. And thank you for giving me the chance to say a few words.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Hawley.
Mr. Chairman, I was not going to say anything because I asked quite a few questions of Mr. Mangi, and so I thought I had made my views clear. But I have to say, after you, a moment ago, not only read that letter into the record, which you're perfectly entitled to do, but before you did that, you said that those of us who had questioned Mr. Mangi on that day took this committee to a new low. Oh, yes, you did.
I didn't name names.
You didn't name names. You said those of us who questioned him took it to a new low.
Some did.
And that would be those of us on this side. And I did question him on that day, and frankly, I resent the insinuation that those of us who asked him questions are somehow anti-Muslim or prejudiced in some way. I think it's outrageous. I think it's absolutely outrageous. And frankly, as someone who has worked across the aisle on any number of pieces of legislation, you know, Mr. Mangi, supported by my friend Senator Booker, that is certainly a major point in his favor. And it's been a delight to work with Senator Booker on pieces of legislation in this committee and with you, Mr. Chairman. But I have to say, it's hard to do when you call us anti-Muslim racists, which is basically what you just did a moment ago. It's on video. Everybody can see it. I mean, truly, that is absolutely outrageous. And so I'll just reiterate again, my issue with Mr. Mangi is I don't care what his religion is or if he has a religion. I don't care. But I do care that he was the director of a center that was basically a mouthpiece for Hamas. And he said over and over all his concerns were academic. My question is, did he not have concern about Jewish students? We've seen Jewish students barricaded in libraries after October 7th, barricaded in libraries, fearing for their lives. Did he not think that a center which actively promotes genocidal rhetoric might have some effect on the students he was supposed to be helping? I think that's a legitimate set of questions. Now, we can disagree on it. Clearly, we do. And I say again, I respect the support that he has from Senator Booker and others. That's fine. But I think in light of the events of October 7th, not just overseas, but in this country, and in light of what Jewish Americans have suffered in this country, in my own state, in the state of Missouri, in the city of St. Louis, we've had Jewish businesses spray painted with the worst sort of anti-Semitic slogans, graffiti, swastikas. We have Jewish students in our campuses in Missouri on the WashU campus say they feel unsafe. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask a gentleman who advised a center on campus that has spouted this kind of propaganda why he was associated with them. So I just take strong exception to that, Mr. Chairman, and I have to say, I wish you'd retract your remarks, because I think they were totally inappropriate.
I stand by the statement submitted to this committee by the ADL. The last person to speak will be Senator Booker.
Mr. President, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And I